Hey guys, welcome back to Postman API testing. This is Shariful. In this lecture we're going to learn scripting in Postman. It means where you can write the script and how to write the scripting. Let's go. So Postman, we know, is a powerful runtime based on Node.js platform that allow you to add dynamic behavior to request and collection. So as we know that Postman runs on Node.js platform, which is a JavaScript based, and it's allow you to write API test, build requests that can contain dynamic parameters, pass data between requests, and a lot more. You can add JavaScript code to execute during two events in the flow. So this is like, where you can write the script. So before a request is sent to the server, so this is the way, this is the diagram how the Postman works in regards scripting. So number one, before a request is sent to the server, a prerequisite script under the prerequisite tab, here you will see, if you go back to, if you see our Postman, here is one of our dummy collection, and here you can see for each, and this is a collection, and here is a prerequisite option. You can see there is a tab over here, it's called prerequisite. So you can write your prerequisite over here in the collection level, as well as there is a test, the tab also you can write as the, your test cases also over here in collection level. Similarly, you can write your prerequisite in your request level. You can write a request level over here is a prerequisite tab, and as well as there's a test over here. Then how this is script, so this is the places where you can write your script, okay? As well as you can create underneath a collection, you can create also even folder. You can see there is a folder you can create, add folder, and inside a folder you can have your some of your requests. So a folder could be like sub module of this collection, and up there related some the request, you can place it up there. So folder will work as a like sub module of this collection. So you can write your prerequisite and test in collection level, in folder level, as well as in request level. Okay, so let's go back to our doc. So but how this script, what is the order to execute this script? The order to execute a script, here is your prerequisite first, and then you can see, and then there's a request. When you have a script underneath the prerequisite, whether it's collection level or folder or even request level, after you click on send, your script will execute first, then your request will execute, then there will be response, and after the response, it get the response, and then your test script will execute and it will validate your response. Okay, so this is the order how the API, Postman API, get execute along with your script, whether it's a script in your prerequisite or in your test script. So if it's a prerequisite script, it will run at the very beginning. When you click on send, it will run at the very beginning, then your request will execute, then the response will be returned as per your request or validation, and then there will be test script. It will do this way. Okay, so if you go, I can show you that. Let's go over here, example, one of our request. Okay, this is one of our request, get request. Over here I'm going to write a prerequisite over here. So here I will just write a console.log. Console.log, it means in our console, it will print in a console. You can see it's a console, it's like output. It will print, log is like it will print whatever you type over here. I type over here, this is a prerequisite script. Similarly, if I go to, let's save it and then let's go to the test. So I will just paste the same thing. I will say this is a test script. Okay, then save it. Then let's run this. Click on send, and then I will click on console just to show you. You can see it shows first this is a prerequisite script. Where this comes from? It comes from my prerequisite over here. This is a prerequisite script. It's a log print, right? So this one is execute first. So your prerequisite got execute first, and after that your request. So this is a get request. This is a get request API. This get request API get execute. So this is a get request. You can see this is the API, right? This is a get request, and then there is a response comes over here. There's a response come based on your request. So definitely response is over here. You can see the response is over here, and at the very end, if you have a script in your test tab underneath your test, it will execute. At the very end, you can see this is a test script. So this is printing over here at the very end. So it means it's follows the order we explain over here. Your prerequisite first, then your request, then your response, then your test script. So this is the order to execute your script along with your request and response. Okay. So let's get to start the writing the test script. Before that, just if I explain a little bit, like what do we write in prerequisite? So in a prerequisite, you can set different variable, like your environment variable, your global variable with a variable name and value that works across your environment, or with any collection, or across with your global variable. And also you can set some logging output to the console, as I have shown you, right? So this is the prerequisite. And sometimes, like if you need some sort of response before, and that response will push to your next, have a dependency. Like each and every request you have a dependency. So the example, this request have a dependency for this, right? So you need, before you want to execute this request, this get request, you need the response from this this request. So that time you will write your script underneath your prerequisite script. So for over here, underneath prerequisite, for this get request, you will write your script over here, which will refer the response from this request. So if there is a dependency, so something like that kind of scenarios, right? It's a prerequisite, could be anything. So it could be you have a environment, right? You can set any environment, and then environment, for that environment you want to run your script, and you can have some prerequisite the environment variable and value over here too. You can write that too. So it's a lot of things you can do through the prerequisite scripting. Over here, in our lecture, we're going to place more focus on testing, test script, and also we'll see that how we can write the test script. So to start, you can refer, if you go over here, I have a long document over here. I will share this doc, the link at the below in the description, so that you can follow it. So you can see, to write your your test script, you need to write underneath the test steps for along with your request, writing your test script following the since Postman written or it support the JavaScript. So to write your test cases through your script, your scripting should follow the JavaScript format, and the format is like this: the pm.test, and then this is inside that there is a two part. So what is that? This is the format. Let me explain you. So over here, this is the format. This format will follow to write our test cases. So PM stands for Postman library to run the test method. to call the test method. So PM is nothing, it's refer the Postman library. So Postman, it has its own library where it has lots of method. So and test is one of the method, and test method, it means it define this is a test case, one single test case. So this is a method, test is a method name, and PM stands for Postman, is a Postman object where it is calling directly test method, and inside the method it has a two argument you have to pass. One argument is the description. Description is like your your test description, whatever the description you want to put for this specific test cases. And the second argument is a function. You have to create a function. So this is the syntax of JavaScript function to create a JavaScript. So this is like you are creating a function following the JavaScript, since Postman support the JavaScript. So to write a function following JavaScript, you have to use the function keyword, and this is the this is the way you will declare this is a function. So function is your second argument for this test method, and the first argument is your description for this test case, and this is the body. This is the body of your function, and inside that you will have to write your actual validating code, like whatever you wanna validate, whether anything's from the response, right? A response body or response cookie or header, your status code, anything from the response, or even you can validate something from even your requests, but mostly we validate from the response. Okay, so that's, and when you are going to validate over here, it's Postman use a chai assertion library PDD syntax. So what is chai assertion? Chai, if you just click on this link, it will take you over here. You can see this is the chai assertion. So it is like chaining. When you will do, it has some keyword they use, like to, be, have, so that it has a different chaining. Assertion can use to assert, to validate your response, some property from the response property. You can go through it more in details. I don't want to spend too much time over here. Let's get back to our example. Okay, so let's come over here. So this is our dummy employee API. Okay, this is the API that we're going to use. Let me just show you very quick. So this is the API dummy REST API example. Over here there's some of the method so that we can use for our practice. Here, as you can see, there's a to get, post, and delete. So I'm using get, to get, post, and put, right? This is the API link. Okay, just for your FYI, this is the one, and you will find this link in our description too. So here, there is a to get, post, and put. So let's go to the get first. So this is the get request. This is the API. So what will happen over here? If you see, let me close this one. If I click on send, you will see it is about the employee. So it will give me the list of the employee. You can see as a response. Okay, this is the response, is giving me a list of the employee through this API. So now if I want to write some validation, so I have to click on test and I have to write some validation following the JavaScript, right? So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to write some validation for the response. So this is my response areas. In my response area I have a lot of things. I have a status code, okay, a status there is a status string over here, okay, and then there is a time, execution time. I have body. Inside body I have all the data, or you can say properties of the body, and there is a cookie. You can see sometimes you can validate also cookie, header, any key and value from the header you can also validate. So let's do one by one. First things, we're going to check how we can validate the response status code. This is one of the must test scenario that you have to add with each and every single request. So how can we do this? So we'll say PM. So always you will use the PM, which is the reserved keyword, which stands for Postman. It's referred to the Postman library. So inside the library it has it has all the knowledge, everything about your Postman, like your request, your everything in your response, everything on your request, everything. So PM, then if as soon as you put dot, you can see there's a lot of things over here, all about whatever you have, different properties you have. You can see different properties you have in your collection, in your Postman. It has a related method over here. Here we'll call test method. You can see test method. So as I have just earlier I have shown you that test method, it's expect two argument. One argument is like your description of the test method is refer, this is a test case, so it expect two argument. One is like your description of this test case. So let's see, what are we going to verify? We're going to verify status code 200. Okay, so we'll say status, it just code is 200. Okay, this is, or you can say validate status code is 200. Okay, and then second part is a function. So you have to create a function. To create a function, you have to use the function keyword in JavaScript, and this is a function, and then this is the body of the function. So this part is the body of the function where you're going to write actual code that will validate this. So how we can validate? Again, now I have to refer, I have to call this 200 to see this status code is 200 or not. So to do this, I will again use the PM, because PM has the knowledge about everything you have, all the properties you have. So this is the properties, right? Everything, this is the method, or you can say property, right? So everything you have in your response is a property. So PM dot, what I'm going to say, so your 200, where 200 status code, it belongs to your response. So let's call the response, and then I will say, now I'm going to use after, as soon as you use the response, so it means it's refer this part. Now you have to more narrow down. What do you want to do from the response? I want to call, you can say there is some assertion I can use. I can use some. Now it's time to use chai assertion. Okay, chai assertion is like a chaining that will help you to do assert. It means to validate. So I will say PM response to, you can see 2 over here, 2 dot, and then underneath the 2 you have a lot more chaining option. So with the 2 you can use you have to do the best choice. You have to know it, which one is make more sense. So to have, I will use to have, dot, then I would say what's status, some status, and what would be the value? 200. So I'm saying, and semicolon, I'm saying hey PM, and then call from the response, from the PM response, and then I will say to have is the chai assertion. Again, if you don't understand, please go to that link as I have shown to you earlier today. It's a little bit earlier, right over here, the chai, you can see this over here they use to, this is the chaining, to, then B, you can use a lot of things. There is a have over here, right? All those things you can use. So this is the chai command. So it will, chai command is a chaining to that you use in your assertion or in your validating code. So from the PM response, I'm saying to have, it means I'm expecting to have a status. It means it will refer this status, and this is the value, like it is expecting that from the response to have a status 200. That's what I'm expecting. And then if I run it, just save it, make sure before you run it you save it, then it's run it. Here we go. This is to check your validation, your test result. You can click on over here, test result. Come over here, you can see this is your, you see this is status code 200. This is the description of my test cases, and then it's saying pass. It means this 200 is matching, finding this same 200 in the response. Okay, so that's the way you can write your scripting following JavaScript, but using the Postman chai format. Okay, so you can do now different way. You can do, so this is one validation in one test cases. In one test cases you can write multiple validation, like same thing for this same thing I can write other way too. I can say PM again, everything started with PM, then I will say expect. I will use the expect keyword. So it means I'm expecting, you know, from where PM expect, then inside that I will say PM again dot response. So call the response and the dot code. So from the response dot code I'm expecting dot to use the equal to equal what equal, just make sure you equal to equal 200. Okay, pass it over here. So is that this is alternate, you know, you can use this way, you can use this way too. I'm saying that I'm calling expect. Expect is like, you know, what do you expect? Expect where? So this is the first part, you know, you have to first, I'm saying PM response code in the response from the PM library in the response and the response code to equal 200. So I'm saying in my response code, you know, I'm expecting to equal to 200, and that's my expectation. You know, you can use the expect keyword too. Okay, so that's the way you can, or you can say you can call the expect method over here too. So whether you can use this one or you can follow this line too, all are both the same. Okay, so if you want to, if I want to, I can make a comment on this line and then save it. Let's see whether it's working or not for this line. Here we go. You can see exactly it is working. It's the same. So I comment this line and this is working. So you can use this one too. Or, you know, there is a, the more you can do, you can make an array assertion. You can say same thing, you can say the same line, you can put it like this way. PM expect PM response code to be, that time I will say 2 dot b to be dot 1. You can say one of and then one of, then you are going to pass some array values like number of like 201 or 200. Okay, so it means, you know, if you want to confirm, if you want to validate, this is your output, whether it's 200 or 21, either any one of them. So this is like you're validating your expected value, whether one of them. So if you have multiple validation, that time you can create an array. Inside the array you can pass your expected value. So whether it's 200 or 201, you know, either any one of them, you know, I'm expecting in my status code. So let's see, I can comment this one too, save this one and then run it again. You will see this is also passed. This is also passed because it's found one of them, either any one of them. That's why it's using, we're saying to be one. So, you know, to be one of them. So whether 200 or 21, you can, you know, create a array validation too. Okay, you can also now validate this, you know, status with, along with your status code, the string comes with like okay, or it is, sometimes you will say it says created, right, or a bad request. So whatever, so this is string, you can validate this one too. You can say that time the PM dot then response, definitely I'm calling the response, and then from there I'm saying this time, you know, I will just validate one specific string to, will say to response to have dot status, right, again status. So this time I'm going to validate status string. So what would be the string? Is okay. So I'm saying that, save it. I'm saying from the response, in my response I should have, similarly like to have status code over here, should have a status. Instead of code I can say just, you know, okay, right, so string. Let me save it and run it. Now this one also passed. So it shows only the one test case, because this is this when you call the test method, inside this function, no matter what, how many validation you do, all of them will consider one test cases. So this is your a title of your test cases. So underneath test cases, your test case will consider as a pass. When you have multiple validation, you have to pass all the validation. If any one of them is fail, it will fail. So if I say over here, say for example, say no, okay, let me intentionally fail it. You will see we know that this one was working, but this is not supposed to work because we see okay. But let's see what happened. You can see the test result. The status code is 200. This is the status code. It's saying assertion error, expected a response to have a status no, but we got okay. It's clearly says you we're expecting no, but we found okay. So since this validation was failing, so whole test case is considered as fail, even though this point, like validating the status code, was passed. So if you have a multiple validation underneath one test cases, all the validation have to pass. Just remember that part, okay? So that's the okay, right? Save it. Now let's see how we can validate response body. Okay, this is the response body, right? So we have just learned how to validate different way your status code from the response. Now the response also, there is a body, and the body you have some response. It's very important, right? Response body validating is very important part for your test cases. So to do this, we'll go to our another request. So there is another get request. It is retrieve one employee's all details. So let's click on up there. You can see it is return one employee, the employee name, salary, age, and so on. So we can use this over here. Let's click on test, go to the test. Over here we're going to validate some of the property from the response body. So to do this, again, we'll type PM, then we'll say call the test method, and then we'll type over here let's validate person name is, what's the person name is? Tiger, right? So let's just Tiger, okay, Tiger Nixon. Okay, so person name is, so whatever this is a description, and then function, right? Function. So create the function, come to the function body. Again, now we're going to types, we'll say, so first we'll say from the response body, there's a few things you can validate. Number one, you can validate any string like status, success, data, any string you can validate. Okay, any string, just single string, to confirm that is that string is present or not in your entire response body. You can do it. So to do this, you can say PM, then call the response. So response, and then you can say to have, to.have. So to.have, what do you want to have? To make sure you want a property, any specific property, to have property, to have, you can say property should have a property, property. So to have property, and then you can say pass the property value. What's the string? So everything is takes as a string. So example, I'm looking for the status, or you can say success. Okay, just one string, not this is like a status and success. This is two together as a key and the value. So we're not validating both, like for what is the value for this status. No, we're just validating to make sure that this success is whether it's present or not, right? I can do this. Let me run it again, run this one, and then I can see over here what's the issue is saying. This assertion expected at Postman response to have a property success, but it's Postman response 10. It's giving me error that it's expecting, but this is the error is happening. It's not getting this. So here is some issue we found. Okay, what's the issue is found? So the issue is it's over here. Like, let's go back to our body. So in body, we're saying that we're looking for a property to have in response where the string is property success, but success is the value of status. So success, to get the success, we need to validate, we need to come through a the right path through the status, because status is the key for the success value. So that's why it does not able to directly find the success, because this is not the right path for the success. Okay, so in that case, if you rather than checking this success, I can check anything directly that you can find as a string or as a text. So for example, if I put the status, save it, and then click on send, this time if you go to the result, you can see the person name is trigger is passed, right? This is like so directly, if you want to validate any string which is directly you can find from your response, you can pass it over here, whether it's status or message, whatever. But if you want to validate any value of a key, then it's a different approach you have to follow. To do this, let's see that I'm going to validate, example, say employee name. Okay, since this test is validating for the person name, so this is the employee name is the key and the value is Tiger Nixon, right? So how I can validate, if I want a validate specific key and value, to do this, how can I do this? So in the same test cases, I'm writing more validation. So I will say pm dot, again go to the response, since it's a response, right, part of the response, or let's say sorry, pm dot expect. Let's see what do we expect? We expect, and then here we can say if I want, say example, how I can say if I want. So here one thing we have to do, response, if I want, let's see. So one thing you have to remember when you are going to validate from the response body, like key and value, like pair, right? So key and value, that time you have to translate, you have to parse this response body to a JavaScript object. It means this response, so our whole this response is in right now showing as a JSON, right? It is in JSON format. It means it is in JSON format. So if I want to validate key and value one pair, that time I need this one as a text format. It means I have to translate, I have to parse. That's called, it's a parse. Translate this whole JSON response body in a JavaScript, and then it will consider everything, will consider as the text. That time I can compare the text specific key and what specific value. So to do this, I can write inside your method, you can write, or even you can write before your method over here. Let's see, I would say pm, and then I will call the response. I will call the response, and this response is a JSON, right? So JSON. So I'm saying that this is like it is calling the response in JSON format, and by calling this JSON format, it will translate, it will parse in a JavaScript object. So I can put this object in a say a variable. I would say yes, beyond response JSON, and the return type in JavaScript, whether you can use constant or you can say bar. So it's constant, so in JavaScript, two variable you can use, whether constant or bar, that's fine. So in now this variable response JSON have the knowledge about the translate of this response JSON file. So this response JSON file is translated in JavaScript object, right? And this variable have the assign that object. It means this variable have the knowledge about your full this response in a JavaScript object. So easily, it means you can easily, I can say it is now in a text format. So easily now we can compare. You can find any text and then you can see what's the text or value for this key. Okay, now I can come over our validation. We're expecting let's now expecting from where? From this response body. So response body, this variable have the knowledge about the response body as a translate format, right? So I will say response body dot, and then what I would say, employee name, right? Any property, what property I'm looking for from this response body? I'm looking for the employee name, right? This employee name dot this employee name dot this employee name, and then I would say dot to be or to equal there is a method is to equal what? So it should be equal to, what's the value? It should be equals to Tiger Nixon. Okay, so we're saying that I'm expecting from the response JSON. So this variable, it means the JavaScript of this response body. From there, there's a employee name. There's a key is employee name equals to equal is a chai assertion, again chaining of the chai assertion. You can see if I hover, you can see property is a chai assertion equal, right? It's a chai equal. This use chai assertion. Okay, and then so it's compare the value whatever you have a string, it's matches from over here according to this key. So it's equals to the Tiger Nixon. That should also match, right? So let me comment this guy. So save it and then send it. Okay, it's failed. Let's go to the why it's failed. It's saying assertion are expected undefined to deeply equal to Tiger Nixon. It's saying it's undefined deeply equals. It means the value I'm trying to validation, the Tiger Nixon, this is the value of this one of the key. It is undefined. It means the path for this value is not right. So over here I said the key, I directly call the key and then equals to the value, but this value has a path. So how we can, so it's saying this undefined, it means this value is, it didn't say it's not right, it's undefined, it means it's not able to even find it. So it means the path was not right for this the value. So why is the path was not fine? If it's happened because this employee name is underneath another node, another you can say property, which is the data, right? Inside that this is one key and this is the value. So for this maybe this is not the path was not right. So we have to declare the path over here from this JSON, from this over here, provide the right path of the key, and then it will find, as long as it is find the right key, then it will find the right value. So over here let's see that how we can find the right key. So that's why we need to go to there is a one of our previous lecture have shown that if you need to find the right path of your key, any one of your key from the response, there is a site is called JSON path finder, right? JSON path finder. Come to over here, here is a copy your response, whole response, and then paste it up there. Okay, paste it, it's already here, paste it up here, and then in the other side you will find. So what do you want? You are looking for the employee name, right? For this key, what's the path? You see the path is over here, data.employee. So copy this one and then go back to there. So over here from the response JSON, put it over here exactly the right path. Make sure you remove this. Okay, so your data first, and you can match. So data first, and then it will go to the over here. So if you find the right key, then it will automatically able to extract the value. So that value will match with this. Okay, now save it. Let's run it now. Here we go. Now you can see it's passed. This test case is passed. So remember that, but don't worry if your path is not right. You can use this JSON path finder, that side. Okay, so similarly now what else I can test? I can test employee age, right? So let's copy this now, another line. Now it's very easy. I'm going to say, instead of employee name, I will just use the employee age. Employee age equals to what's 61. So since this is a integer, so you can use directly without a string format too, right? And then you can click on send. Here we go. So both is passed, right? Both is passed. So it means, as I said, like both of the validation is passed. That's why this test case is passed. Okay, or you can just create another test cases. There is no problem. Okay, so that's the way you can validate some of your property from your response. This is important part, that you have to parse your response. So if your response it's in JSON, instead of JSON there is a few more options. There is a XML, HTML. If your JSON is, your response is a different format, you have to translate first. Okay, I will provide a link in the below, or you will find a link in my the document. There will be links how, if you have a different type of file for your response, how we can translate, how we can parse that. I will provide that link up there, and you can follow the code. There is a way to do this, no matter what type of file you have. So in our case it's a JSON, and most of the time you'll see the JSON they are using in the Postman for REST API testing. Okay, so now let's go back to, now let's see that what else we can learn. So what else we have in our response? We have tested body, status, and now we have, here is a few more steps. So we have header. So you can validate your header key and value. You can see the key and value. So there's a lot of key over here. Say any one of them. So example, you can validate, say, content type. This is one of the key, and this is the value of the key. How can we do this? So to do this, let's go to our another request, is post request. In our post request, okay, so it will create in our post request, it will create, it will have a data, it will create an employee, a new employee in our database, right? So this is the name, salary, and this is the age. So let's create first, click on up there, because it's test cases when you have to write after the execution is done. If you remember that, the sequence of our the executions, your pre-script first, then your request, then your request, then your response, then your, after the response is done, your test cases. So after the response is done, our test cases, now I can write. So over here we have a header. So let's see whatever what's header we have. Similar type of content type. So this we're going to see that whether this the key is present in our header or not. So let's go to our test cases, test tab. So we'll see again the same thing. We'll check. We'll say pm.test, and then what would be the description. So we'll say whatever you can say, check, what's the name, this, let's copy this, check this, this header is present, right? Present. Okay, so that's our first part of that, and then function is second argument. Select the function and then test function. So here is your code, right? So we'll say pm again, from the pm and response from the response, what do you want? You can see headers is already over here. From the PM, from the response, then headers, then we'll the response headers. We'll say let's do something assertion. Chai. We'll say PM response to dot have header. You can say header to have header, and then what should have in the header. Looking for a string or key. Key is now, if you just validate in a single property, it is just a string, right? So this content type, right? Just copy this one and paste it over here. Okay, and right, let's send it. Here we go. We're saying check content type header is present, so it is present, that's why it's passed, right? So we're saying from the response we're looking for should have header. Inside the header we're looking for this string. It's very, or key. It's very simple. Okay, now similarly, like body, we can match the for the specific key, and the value. So we can do this too. So to do this again, so how can we do this? So we can say same thing. We can say, so let's type the same thing, same line. It's a different way you can do. So we can say from the PM response to have header. So definitely header. This is the key. Okay, this is the key, and then make a comma, and then in a string let's put the value of this. Okay, we don't have to, just remember that in this case for validating your header, we don't have to parse anything, because this is not showing any JSON file. Body was specifically showing the response body, specific JSON format. That's why we have to parse it. But this is like a string and a string, right? And just you have to make sure both your key and value you pass as an argument to compare. Okay, so this is, let's comment this one so that we can validate this line, save it and run it. Here we go. This is also passed, right? So we're saying that in your header, your content type is a key, and this is the value of this. Okay, you can write this way, or you can write even using the expect key. So using expect, we'll say expect. So when you use the expect, you have to refer a specific area in your response, right? So what we're saying, PM dot, so response, and dot, we have to say headers. In this case we have to say headers in your headers. So from the headers, what we're looking for, from the headers we can call a get method, content type, right? Content type. In a headers, you can say there is a lot of other chaining over here method. You can say it's called, there is a method, it's called get. The get method can get any key. So this is the key, and then we can say get, right, dot to equal to what? Equal to, so place the value of this, right? Okay, and semicolon. Save it. Let's make a comment the other line. Click on there. Here we go. It's passed too. So it means we're saying, if you use, just remember when you use expect, you can say expect, it's Postman expect is a chai, expect is static. Okay, it is a chai assertion. So when you use expect, you can see there is a value, any value you can expect from a compared to with a according to there is a key. So expect, so first you have to tell you what is the key. So we're saying PM from the PM, from the response, from the headers, and then call the get method. We're getting from the headers, this is the key, and when you're able to locate your key properly, then you can pass the another part of the chahe or assertion, which is like 2 equal, and this is the value what we are expecting for this key. So it will go to over here chahe, and it will find header content type, and it will see for the content type is that this is the one, is that matching with this or not. If it's a match, it will pass, otherwise it will fail. Okay, pretty good. So next part, what else remaining? Let's over here in response you have a cookie. You can also validate your cookie too. If you have a cookie, you can validate cookie too. Like, you can validate, this is the cookie name, it is the value for the cookie, this is the domain, and so on. You can validate whether this cookie is present or not. You can validate the value of the cookie, is that this is matching or not. Anything from the cookie you can also validate. So to do this, we'll go use another request is a put request. Let's go to the put, and then over here the put, as you know, it's help you to update your existing record, right? So this is one of our, say assume that we have similar type of record, or the user we have in our database, and we're updating. Okay, we're updating. So if you click on send, you will see it is give you response with the status as a success, and this is the data, is the name, is been updated, and message successfully record has been updated, right? So now we're going to write our some test cases that will validate the cookie. So let me again call the test method, right? Call the test method, and then we'll say cookie. So what's the name of the cookie? We're going to validate cookie's presence or not. So the cookie is, this is the cookie. Okay, this is the one cookie. Okay, this is the name. It's kind of long name, so copy that name. So this is the name of the cookie is present. Okay, validate or check cookie atto is present. Okay, check cookie atto, this cookie is present or not. Okay, and then let me create the second argument function. Okay, body of the function, and then now we're going to say pm dot, we'll say expect, we're expecting. So if we say expect again, then we have to refer the pm dot cookies, right? Pm dot, you can say response, you can say direct cookies. So from the cookies we'll say dot has cookies has, what's the name of the cookie? Cookie name should be this, right? This is the cookie name. Cookie name, this should be, and this should be to that b dot true. You can see, because there's nothing, we're not going to compare equal, we're going to say it is present or not. So it is there, true or false. So you can see this is the cookie value, domain path, and you can see secure is give you one secure result is true. It means if your cookie is present, it should say you as a true. So that's what we're saying. We're saying expect from the cookie and has, this is the name of the cookie, is to be true. Okay, save it, let's run it again. Here we go. You can say this case is pass. Okay, so that's the way you can validate your cookie, specific cookie in your cookies, and then also you can validate the the value of your cookie too, right? So let me just copy this. Let me make another test cases. Okay, I will say cookie has value. Check cookie has, or validate that has value. Okay, So I'm saying over here I'm going to, so this is another new test case I'm creating now. Okay, so over here I'm going to say first I will expect same thing, so I will get the cookie. So I will say that the cookie has, this is the cookie, and over here instead of true, where I'm going to say to equal what's the equal to should be what's the value. So this is the value, so make sure you copy this. Sometimes it doesn't allow you to copy, to just get this value somehow and then paste it over here. Okay, so that should be comma, right? Okay, save it. Now let's run it. In this case I have two test cases. Okay, you can see one is pass, this is the pass, and this one is saying assertion expect true to deploy deeply equal da. So I hope that, did you notice that why this error is giving? It's saying that in our assertion it's saying expected true. It's expecting true, but it's it's found to deploy equals to this. So I'm matching, it means like I'm matching this one with the expected value as a true, with true. So this is not, definitely this is not comparable, right? So the reason why, because I copied, if you notice that over here when I make sure that this cookie is true, it means presence or not, that time I use has, you can say has it has its return, like the property, it's a method or keyword reserved word in Postman library, which is like return true or false. You can see over here, right? If you hover, you can see that it's a boolean, it's return true or false. So definitely that's why I compare over here. So it has this name, so I'm saying that is that this name is presence or not. If it's a presence, it will return true. If it's not present, it will return false. So I'm expecting this one is present, that's why I'm saying it's to be true. So if it's a true, this true will match with this true. Okay, so true is, if it's a presence, it will be true, right? That's why this has method always use return is a boolean. But over here, in this test cases, we're not comparing boolean, we're not looking for true or false, we're looking at compare key and value. So that's why over here instead of has, I have to use get method. Get is a get method. So hover your mouse, you can see what the get method does. Get method, it's get the key, you can say key as a string format, and also it's validated, it's get the value of any item in the list. So that's what I'm looking for, right? I'm saying that you have to call, why you have to call the get method, it will get the value of any specific item from the list. It means it will get the value of this specific item, this is specific value. What's the value? It will automatically get the value, so it will get this value and then it will compare with this. That's why we have to use the get method instead of has over here. Okay, so you have to understand that why you have to use get over here and why we have to use has. So that's why I failed this one intentionally, so that we can see the difference. Okay, let's save it now and now run it again. Here we go, you can see it's now saying test result is 2 with both is passed. Okay, so that's the way you can validate even your cookies from your response. Okay, so pretty much that's all. Just one thing, I want to show you very simple thing. So along with this is the way we have learned that how you can write the test script or a script by your own. There is a Postman, they have one feature, it's a very cool feature, it's called snippets. In snippets, there is a you're scripting some of the default script already written up there, so you don't have to write it as long as you understand that. Example over here, let's see, here is status code. So you can see status code is 200. If you just click on up there, it will automatically bring the related code for related test method. You see exactly the same thing we have learned, in our previous, in this method over here. PM is status code 200, exactly the same thing, right? So here it is, the code is already written, so you can use this snippet, get this code, that will validate your status code 200, right? So in this case still we can run the 200. So this is one of them. And then here's, let's see the what else we can. Here is, you can say content type header check. You can validate content type. Here is the code already from the snippet. You can also get, so it will get one of them from us, right? And then you can see response body is equals to string. You can validate to that. So any string inside the response body that we have learned from our one of our our previous over here, you can get it from the snippet too. So here is a, let's click on up there. Let's see what's saying. Minimize that. So this is the code from the response. It's saying body is correct. Okay, response body. So this is like, it's a PM response to have body. So it's saying in your response should have a body tab, and then over here response body string. So it means you can, if you want to verify everything in your response body, that time you have to use this. So this is a little bit long test. So other than that, let me see the what else I can show very easily. Another one, content string, response body content string. So over here you can verify anything, any string, like we just did, one of our over here, I believe here, right? Here over here, right? Over here we have learned this. Any status, right? It's status, any string that's in your from your body response, right? You can validate any string, right? So similarly, same thing, we can get the help from the code from our snippet. Here is, you can see over here, this is the the code. So let's see that from here, what do you want to say? We say message successfully record. So let's find the message. This message is string, so I can use this snippet code. So we're saying that body match is string function. Okay, expected PM response text is a method. This text method, it will be get the text, extract the text from your response, to include where it find include is like close to equal is like match exactly same, and include like if it's even partially match, it will take as a pass, it will take as a match. Over here search you string, so place the string over here, message. So I'm checking the message string in my response body, so using the snippet code. So save it again, let's click on send. Here you go, you can say 4 test cases, all of them pass. Even if the body is pass, is a 200 status code is pass. So these 2 test cases, I have scripted, I have written, by the help for using the snippet code. So you can use the snippet also if you understand that how to use it. It's very easy. That's why I showed you very last, so that we understand first how to write the script, and now it's very easy when you see any code from the snippet, what does it mean, how it works, and what where you can use that. Okay, so that's all pretty much about the scripting. I hope that it will help you. It is very important to know if you want to do automate through your Postman API testing. That's all for today. Stay tuned. Please subscribe, like, and share. Have a good one. Bye bye.